Hello, everybody. This is XRP Lazarus, and I wanted to make a video today about a project I've been looking into. As always, I'm gonna add a little disclaimer here. Um, obviously, you shouldn't be taking anything I say about any stock or crypto or any kind of investment and just throwing your money at it. Uh, it's important that you do your own due diligence and that you do some research on things that you're going to invest, or you consult with an investment advisor or financial advisor. Um, Kind of goes without saying that you can't really trust a YouTube video that you find on the internet and use that as some kind of motivation to recklessly throw all your money into something. And obviously, if it's a project I'm talking about, there's a really good chance that I own some of it and that I am incredibly biased towards the project. So, take everything you hear here with a grain of salt. Um, and make sure you're doing your own research. Just be careful. In a nascent volatile market like crypto, it's very easy to ruin your life, especially if you're trading with leverage or gambling without doing any kind of research. And on the flip side of that, even if you do hundreds and hundreds of hours of research, you can still lose all your money. So just keep that in mind. Uh, so today I want to talk about a project called Mettalex, token ticker MTLX. When I look at a token, I like to start on CoinGecko. I felt it's a pretty good resource for information. It's not always perfect. Sometimes there's a little bit of outdated information on here. Sometimes the numbers aren't exactly accurate, or maybe the circulating supply is not correct, things like that. So it's important if you're looking into a project, go into the Discord or the Telegram or wherever it is and use them as a resource to figure out where the best place to get metrics on whatever you're looking at. Because whether you look at this on CoinGecko or Coinbase or CoinMarketCap, uh, all the numbers might be different. So I think the numbers on here are pretty accurate as far as I can tell and as far as I've been told. So, but regardless of the numbers are good or not, this is usually a good place to find the contract, the website, the white paper, the source code, uh, and just general information about the project. Um, Also, you can look at the price history. I'm not super into the price discussion, really. I take more of a fundamental approach when looking at projects, and um, it's always a risk either way. So, one of the things I really like about Mettalex is that I view it as kind of the innovative solution to a common problem that we have with DEXs or with any kind of exchanges. A lot of crypto. So, just for starters, Mettalex is a P2P exchange that doesn't require liquidity pools, has zero slippage, and is AI based. So, I really like that about the project. They're still in private beta, so as far as how long it's going to be till we get a really good usable product, it's probably going to be a while, but um, I like the direction the project's heading, and so I'm going to talk a little bit about it here today. One thing about this project is that the market cap's still under 10 million, or right about 10 million, which if you compare that to, the top 100 or whatever it is, it's pretty low. So we're still really early on this project. Seems like not a lot of people know about it. Probably there's a good amount of Fetch.AI users who know about it, since there was a Fetch.AI MTLX airdrop at some point for FET stakers. but I would imagine that most people have no idea what this is. So we'll talk a little bit about it. Um, One of the things I like the most about this project is the founder is kind of a pretty well-established guy. I'm not going to try to pronounce his name, but I think it's Humayun Sheikh, something like that. Sorry if I butchered that, but he's also Fetch.AI's founder, which I think is really important. Um, I mean, that doesn't mean the project's going to be successful, obviously. You have to, nothing's guaranteed in the world, and certainly nothing's guaranteed in crypto. But, um, when you have the founder of a project, somebody who is a pretty successful founder in another project, I think that's a good sign. Uh, and usually it means that it's not going to be a rug pull, something like that. Um, and at least, somebody with some sense is running the show, right? Um, and Fetch is a big token, $4.3 billion market cap. It's not easy to take a project from inception to 4.3 billion. Not always. I mean, there is some meme tokens and stuff that get pretty crazy high market caps, even though they don't really offer a lot of utility. But it's not a given, right? If every project could get to this 4 million market cap, then all it would take for you is to just invest in any project with a low market cap and you'd make a lot of money, which is not the case. So I really like that about this product. Uh, and I like that they have a pretty small team. I guess it's like 11 people. I don't know what that is compared to the average, but um, it doesn't look like they're blowing a lot of money on people, which is good. Um, and each person on the team has kind of like a well-defined role. Um, and just a brief look, I don't love talking about price, but anytime you're looking at a project, it's important to note some things. I like to look at the full price history. And one thing you can easily note here is that we were sub 10 cents. MTLX was sub 10 cents just like a year and a half ago, maybe a little bit longer than that. And maybe even, I don't know what these wicks look like on this chart, but um, it's gone up quite a bit in the last year, quite a bit, at least 10x, right? Depending on where you're looking at it from. But that's something you always want to keep in mind. If you buy big green candles, there's a good chance in the short run you're going to take big fat L's. So you just got to keep that kind of stuff in mind when you're making decisions. I'm not really too worried about the price action on a project that's under 10 million market cap because obviously the goal here is to buy into a project that becomes a billion or multi-billion dollar market cap. And, these small price variations or rather large price variations when it was a really low and illiquid market is not really super meaningful to me. But it's important to at least take a look at it nonetheless, just so you know what you're doing. But you can see the trading volume, 24-hour trading volume is really low. $43,000 in the last 24 hours. That is not a lot. So it wouldn't take a lot of money in either direction to really swing the price of this, which is, sometimes it's a good thing and sometimes it's a bad thing. But let's just talk about the project a little bit here. Um, I like to start kind of on their website, when I'm doing research. This is a good place where you can find an explanation of the project, um, a roadmap for what they're trying to achieve, ways to buy it. Usually they have blogs or documents that you can look at to see what kind of their past achievements have been and, the white paper and those kind of things. You can just get a lot of really good information on the project. So I would always use this as a resource. There's also a little explainer video here, so I'll play that for you guys. I'm assuming they're not going to care if I share this on the YouTube, but if it gets striked or something, then it is what it is. I'll cut it out. But I really like this video, so I wanted to show it as well, just for people, it gives a pretty good, quick understanding of what the project is.
Trading today can feel like you're in a constant battle. Competition is fierce and the landscape is continually changing. To win, you need to use a platform that works with you, not against you. Meet Mettalex, powered by Fetch.AI. Mettalex is the world's first AI agent-based decentralized exchange that allows direct trading between users without needing liquidity pools. And unlike traditional decentralized exchanges, Mettalex allows you to trade any digital assets with anyone across any blockchain ecosystem. With Mettalex, there's no slippage. You trade directly with one another without any intermediary. And the best part? Being powered by Fetch.AI means you can use your natural language to communicate with your AI agent, which then communicates with others, finding the best possible trade for you precisely and efficiently. Mettalex puts you in control. Deploy your own AI agents on any device and take command of your trading strategy with tools designed for everyone, everywhere. Trade with confidence. What you see is exactly what you get. Mettalex, the future of DeFi trading. Powered by Fetch.AI.
So that's a great explainer. One of my favorite things about this project is there's no liquidity pools. If you have been in, trading in Uniswap and other tools like that using DEXs, the dependency on liquidity pools is kind of a pain. And a lot of them with certain pairs may have very low liquidity, which leads to slippage, right? And slippage is basically like when you just lose money, your money disappears into thin air because there's not enough people selling, or there's not enough tokens to fill it at the price that you want. So you end up paying a higher price, or whatever it is, the trade costs you more. So I think those are really two kind of revolutionary things about this trading platform. I think they really started as this trying to be a commodity exchange. And I know they still have some plans to onboard some commodities, but it looks like they really kind of pivoted this to being more about not about solving inefficiencies in the commodity market, but solving inefficiencies in the normal DEXs that we see, which is liquidity pools and slippage and central points of failure and those kind of things. So that's one of the things I really like about the project. And it's chain agnostic, just means like it doesn't matter what chain you're on, it should work. So you can trade across various ecosystems without being stuck on a chain. So that's a good thing. They haven't really rolled out this feature yet, but I think I think in Q3 they're working on it, and then in Q4 they're going to release private beta on this functionality. So yep, and I think the lack of needing liquidity pools and those kind of things makes it even more decentralized, but that's up to your own personal opinion how you're going to view something like that. And I was just looking at the roadmap here. They did the private release, so if you're interested in that on their main page, you can request early access and get in. But they pretty much just cover what their plan is for the rest of the year, right? They're going to work on large language model integrations. If you're not familiar with large language models, it's pretty much the current major use case of AI, and like Chat GPT and OpenAI. These are all LLMs, and they're basically trained on large data sets of information. But one thing I really like about this DEX is that you have prompt-based trading, which means you tell it what you want to do and it will make it happen for you. And I mean, obviously within reason. You can't say you want to sell, your tokens 5 times market price. I doubt that's going to work out for you. But this is a really kind of useful feature even if you're a seasoned trader, right, and you want to develop some kind of nuanced trading strategy and relay that strategy to your AI bot. I'm not sure how all this is going to look in the future, so I may be talking out of my ass here, but that I find kind of interesting. And on the other end of that coin is kind of less skilled traders or newbie traders, and for them to be able to prompt based trading trade based on prompts, I feel like is kind of a revolutionary thing. It's one of the really, really big barriers to entry for trading is understanding an exchange. Exchanges can be very confusing, right? And people, when the money's on the line, people don't want to just click buttons, right? They want to know what they're doing is right, so they don't just piss away their money. So I think this is a really powerful thing. And if this end product of this looks like how they're making it sound like it's going to look, then this could be a huge, I guess, DEX, like a really widely used DEX. I mean, I for sure would use it if I could do prompt-based trading as long as the fees for the AI agent's not too high, just for the simple ease of it. But look, they also have prompt-based trading strategy. So that's kind of what I was talking about with more seasoned traders, where they can kind of develop a strategy and relay that to their AI agent to execute on their behalf. And in this exchange, basically both ends of the trade get locked into escrow, and then they either partially settle or fully settle. And then you have the opportunity to refund it if your order's not filled and you don't feel like waiting anymore, or you just changed your mind, something like that. I mean, obviously, you can't refund trades that are already executed, but you can trade them back into it if you want to go back. So it looks like they're going to focus on scaling. In crypto, this is a huge thing because, as you guys know, if you're on Coinbase, something like that, every time activity picks up, it goes down. And so it's one of those things where, uh, you have to scale up with the demand as it comes in. And, um, you know, if they don't scale properly, then what's going to happen is going to get a lot of activity and it's going to go down or it's going to crash, it's going to have some kind of issue. So it's good that they're focusing on that as well as how successful that be. It remains to be seen, but we'll wait and see about that. But yeah, and then they're going to do some cross-chain stuff, a community showcase, and then release private beta of the cross-chain feature so that you can test it out and they can make improvements based on feedback and that kind of stuff. And then I think this is also really cool. They're going to integrate with existing dexes, right? Like Uniswap. Uh, and it basically means you can trade on any part marketplace. And I think that's kind of huge. I think there's already some kind of features like, if you use the MetaMask swap function, I think it's kind of doing this now, right? It's integrating with multiple dexes to find you the best quote, and then it's fulfilling the order um, based on, you know, what's available and if you accept the quote, pretty much. That's enough of the roadmap. Let's uh, talk a little bit about uh, the documents here. I want to just do, no, sorry, not the documents, the blog. I want to do a brief cover of the blog. If you're skeptical about the project, that's, I think, a good place to start. Always be skeptical. But you can look at, every month, I think, I don't know if there's any missing here, but it looks like every month since July, they have some kind of explanation of some kind of update on what they've been working on. So I think that's really cool to see. You can see that they created a contract factory where people can generate contracts, and they're working on an agent factory, and this is in July 2023. So I'm sure a lot of this stuff is completed. One thing I see is a lot of these updates are talking about UI and UX refinement. I mean, that's, I think, one area of improvement that they could really benefit from. And I am pretty sure right now they have an open position for a UI UX uh, designer or something like that. So hopefully we'll see that kind of stuff improve. But yeah, you can look through here and figure out like what kind of stuff they worked on, what kind of stuff they pivoted away from. I found these four little articles kind of interesting too, as far as like the high level use case of this exchange and like zero slippage. So they talk a little bit about zero slippage, about how their AI agents is kind of the secret sauce, and you know not having to rely so much on liquidity pools and market makers and those kind of things. They give examples and stuff like that. And they just put an update out today And part of it's the explainer video that we watched, their team offsite meeting. They did some demos, like a private demo in Berlin, and then, oh no, sorry, this is the public demo. They did another private demo. I'm not sure where that's at, but they did two demos recently. So, and you know, it remains to be seen how that's all going to play out. But it looks like it was somewhat quote unquote well received. So, take that with a grain of salt. But you can look at kind of the development updates that they have. And I think one thing they're going to integrate is they're going to integrate Trading View. Um, it doesn't say that here, but I'm pretty sure I read that somewhere that they're going to integrate their website with Trading View so that you can, for people that like to trade and want to look at candlesticks and that kind of thing, they could do that. Um, so it all looks pretty good. And I mean, if you don't buy it, then come read it or, do your own due diligence on that. I did want to talk a little bit also about the token and why they need a token. A lot of people make this case on a lot of projects that, I heard a lot of people talking about this with Render, like, what do they need the token for? And in some cases, I feel like it is a good point, right? But it seems like MTLX has taken a lot of community feedback and originally was just a governance token, right? Which is still a useful thing, right? If you can vote and make changes on the policies of the platform, I think it's a really important thing. And fee structures and those kind of things. But they also added some additional stuff to that, like paying your transaction fees in MTLX. So, I mean, people are going to have to buy MTLX to pay these transaction fees, or else they're going to have to trade into it or something. And, buying premium services, they're going to have to buy MTLX to buy premium services. Paying the agent fee, whatever that is, they're going to have to pay for that. And then they've talked a little bit about like having some minimum balance to trade on the platform. I think this is also kind of a cool thing because the last thing you want on a network is people to just spam away. This is kind of a little bit how XRP works, right? They have the minimum reserve for the wallet, so you can't just spam the network with thousands of wallets, right? And because it degrades the integrity of the website or whatever it is of the protocol. Um, so I think this is all cool stuff. This one at the end, I'm not really a huge fan of. I think it's kind of a stupid idea, but it may be interesting. Some people I find might really like this. I think this is where you can like watch a trader and you can get some of their experience and you pay to watch them and they get paid in MTLX and something like that. I don't really love it, but more use cases for the token. I'm not going to complain about it. And if people don't use it, people don't use it where it's not going to hurt us. I'm not sure how beneficial something like that would be, though. And then another thing is token distribution. I believe this is current token distribution, but they're kind of changing stuff up. And it looks like some things they've added in here is like foundation. Um, and community engagement reward. Yep. And I think that's it. Yeah. And so I think they added these two categories. I mean, I'd make sure you double check this. I'm not exactly sure, but obviously, like, you know, they're holding a lot, right? And this 32 million currently is earmarked for over collateralization of commodities. That's subject to change. Obviously, they can pretty much change this whenever they want. So, uh, it says they may be adjusted based on reviews, community feedback, market conditions, and that's kind of what you want. We don't want them to be locked into something. We want them to always be able to make the best decision. But I find it helpful to kind of see this stuff, and there could be some significant inflation here, right? There's only 4 million released now. I'm not sure which bucket that's all coming out. I think a lot of that's probably here. But if you look, there's 44 million tokens and circulating right now, just slightly over 4 million, and there's 40 total. So I'm not exactly sure what bucket that's all coming out of, but I know this was the airdrop they did. So looks like they did 1 million tokens. So I'm not sure where the other 3 million came from, but probably some of that is the team and the stakeholders, I would guess. But this foundation one, I feel like I'm not really like super pumped about this kind of stuff, but I think it's good. Like you want to have a vibrant community, it's important, right? How else are they going to get liquidity in their token and like make it, drive stuff to the platform, drive users to the platform. So I think it's important stuff. And I really like this foundation one, which is basically like support ongoing development. So I think that's like a really good, useful thing to have. And the last thing we want is these guys to run out of money before they have a final product. So, uh, you know, just take a look at all this kind of stuff. Another thing I find really interesting about this project is its connection to FET, right? With Fetch, having the same founder as another successful token. A lot of people may not be aware, but Fetch is actually merging with two other tokens, right? It's Fetch, Ocean, and Singularity, which is HEIX, and they're all kind of merging together to form the uh, Artificial Super Intelligence Alliance, which I think is kind of cool. I really like that. I think it's a good thing for all the projects and potentially a good thing for MTLX as well. Um, one thing MTLX did recently was they applied for to get part of a community fund for. Um, they basically applied to get $1 million out of the Fetch Community Fund, and they were approved. Sorry, I was getting a work message. Uh, but yeah, they were approved for $1 million, and that's by I believe FET stakers or people who can vote on that. And I think it was like 88% approved, so and like a 68% turnout, something like that. So that's pretty good. And probably some of that is because it's the same founder of the Fetch token. So I'm sure a lot of people are just going to they probably made money on Fetch and they want to support that guy. And, you know, it's an interesting thing. So I think you want to keep a lookout. Maybe MTLX will be brought into this alliance at some point. I don't know about that, how realistic that is. They probably don't want to do a whole second merger, but I'll be on the lookout for some kind of uh, collaboration between them. And one thing you probably know is that MTLX, it's basically whole product is relying on AI agents, right? And those AI agents are the product of Fetch. So it's important that Fetch is successful so that MTLX can be successful. And um, it's an interesting relationship there. And this alliance is a pretty big alliance. I mean, look, Fetch is 4.5 billion market cap. Ocean's 500 million, so we're at five already. And Singularity's at 1 billion almost. So it's pretty much 6 billion combined. Um, and I think all this will be rolled into the ASI token. And depending on how much you hold of each one will depend on how many ASI tokens you get, those kind of things. So really interesting. And if you want to read more about this, you can go to superintelligence.io and they have a migration guide and documentation, probably a lot more information on this alliance. I know it was recently delayed, I think till July 15th. I guess it was supposed to be June, somewhere in June, and it just got pushed to July 15th. I don't really care about stuff like that. I mean, these mergers, the important thing I think is to get it right. So it doesn't really worry me at all. But I would just keep an eye out on the connection between MTLX and Fetch. We could probably get more community funding from them or have some kind of alliance or some kind of collaboration that's mutually beneficial. Um, so just keep that in mind. Another thing I want to show you is the beta. I didn't sign up for the beta, so I don't really have access to this. I don't know if I can do any trades, but Um, I just wanted to show kind of what it looks like. It's a standard order book. and then you'd come in here and put what you want to trade and the price, and then you can like pick an agent, and then your agent goes and interacts with these other agents to get the trade done. And then everything that that agent does gets logged here. So transparency is a big thing here. And I think, that's a good thing if you can see exactly what's happening kind of on the back end. Um, and then, this is transaction logs and orders. So as they continue to, I mean, it looks pretty slick. I'm not, uh, I know there was probably a few complaints about how it works, and they're working on like, some quality of life improvements. So I'll be interested to see how this whole thing looks when it's out of beta and they've made all the improvements. And whenever they roll out a final product, I think it'll be really cool to see. But that's all I'm pretty much going to talk about today. I just really wanted to shed some light on this project because nobody's really talking about it. And, I don't really want to be one of those guys that's like, it's a 10 million market cap. If it could get to a billion, that's 100x, right? Because obviously that's a very elementary way of looking at it, and there's going to be some dilution. I'm not saying it's going to go 100x, but I could easily see a project like this being a 5 billion market cap. I could also easily see it not being used at all. So that's the other side of that coin. But I found it interesting enough to look into at least, and you know, so I kind of wanted to just share that with you guys. So, and I'm sure I probably spouted some inaccuracies here. I'm no expert, and I've probably done like 15 hours of research on this. So certainly a lot of stuff that could have happened in the past that I'm not aware of, and uh, I may have said some things wrong here. So don't eat me alive, but if I said something wrong, feel free to correct me in the comments and tell me what your thoughts are on this video. Well, that's all I got for you guys today. Have a nice day, and I'll see you later.